Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hopeful Romantic M.A.N podcast. I'm your host, Dropping Dimes, a.k.a. the Hopeful Romantic, a.k.a. the feminist with chauvinist tendencies. Today, I'm bringing you an exciting show. So, from the very beginning, when I started this show, I always said that I was only going to bring people on that I found very interesting, but not just interesting. I wanted people that I saw in a different light, people that I held in high regard. Right? And one of the people that I met a long time ago, I met her back in college. She was absolutely fantastic. Even back then, always had a very electric personality, so you knew she was going places even back then. But as she's gotten older, I've watched her from afar. I've been a fan. I've seen her develop into an entrepreneur. I've seen her develop as a mother. I've seen her develop just as an overall Renaissance woman. And I thought I'd bring her on because I thought it was a fantastic opportunity to talk about work-life balance and the obstacles that many women have to go through. You know, when you're a woman and you're trying to go into this business world, especially recently. And let me do this first. Let me bring her on so you guys could all meet her. I'm very excited to bring her on, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to bring on my friend, my alumni from King University, and she is my friend.
I'm here.
Why is it not coming on here? Hey, what happened? I'm having a little technical difficulty. There you go. Yeah, we call it, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring on Etra Pickett. Again, she's a Renaissance woman. She is a person that is not only educated, not only beautiful, but she's a woman that's still out in the world looking for her partner. She's in the middle of a lot going on in her life, so I'm really excited because what I want to do is I want to bring her on and I want to pick her brain and I want to talk to her about what it takes, to not only carry a household, to not only be a career woman, but at the same time not lose sight of exactly what I just said, the woman in you. See, a lot of times people will remember I'm a CEO of a company. They'll remember I'm a mother, and then they lose track of that inner woman. You know what I mean? And it's always a pleasure to talk to somebody who is very carrying her feminine energy in a very beautiful way. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I want to invite and give a round of applause for Tnt Pickett. Tnt, what's going on?
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? How are you? How are you feeling?
Good. Can you hear me good?
I hear you fantastic. Don't even worry about it. Sounds perfect.
Okay,
You sound
good.
perfect.
Good. Sorry about that. I know I was supposed to meet up with you earlier. Sorry about that. You,
Don't even
you
worry
know,
about it. This is perfect.
you
What
know
do you
how
call it? Like I was telling you, man, I like to give people their flowers as always, when they first come on. But while you're here, let me let you know. I consider you a Renaissance woman. I can consider you somebody who is like when they talk about baseball, they talk about five-tool players. Those
Mhm.
are people that can hit, run, bat, speed, all that. And if I had to give you a label, it would be a five-star woman, where you're educated, you're good looking, you're smart, you're definitely street savvy. You're not like somebody who's naive about the world. You're a mother. You know what I'm saying? You're a five-tool star. And I think it's important for women out there that are often overwhelmed by what's going on in the world to see and to speak to people and to share. Maybe they see you and they see, yo, she carries it so well, she's on point. Maybe you want to share, hey man, sometimes I'm not okay. Sometimes you want to share and say, no, these are some of the difficulties that I'm going through. These are some of the beautiful parts of my life. Let's share it all. I want to give people a peek behind the window. So first and foremost, I also want to make sure that I gave you a platform. I know you're in a new venture with a new business that you're going to be promoting, consultation and all kinds of different things. And I know I can't do it justice the way you do. So I'm definitely going to give you some time at the end where I really want you to tell the public, right, what you offer, how you offer it, how they can contact you. And we'll put a link down below for you. And on top of that, when we go on Spotify and all these platforms, I'll make sure that I include you in the bios so that people can reach out to you and find out where you are.
Okay.
So, first and foremost, tell the people who you are, what you do, what you're about. Floor is yours. I got you.
Well, I'm Dietra. Dietra. Pickett. and I am a alumni of King University. That's where I know my friend Mike from. Alumni of Fairleigh Dickinson University, received my master's degree there. And I'm a mother of two, single mother of two at that. And that's my biggest job. I've worked many years with the state as a state investigator. I've also worked in child services in the field of foster care. I was the director of foster care, director of programming, director of facilitation. So I have a long lengthy resume of social service careers and going into the courts and law enforcement, and so I have a long lengthy list, but my main job is being a mother of my two children who are now adults. I have one 20-year-old and I have a soon to be 16-year-old in a couple weeks.
So let's go there.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Mm-hmm.
Being that that's the first label you put out, I want to make sure we start there.
Absolutely.
Okay. There's probably a young mother right now, right, that has to make the choice between work, school, and feeding her kids and all that stuff, right? If you can speak to a 16-year-old Etra Pickett as the woman you are today, what is some advice you would give her? What is something you would look at and say to her, hey, listen, A, B, and C?
Oh, it was so nice at 16. That's the year I would go back to, because I was doing so. I mean, I was being asked by so many people to go to prom with them, so those are, and I wasn't thinking about being anybody's girlfriend. I was a little, the guys were my brothers and cousins and friends. Like, I had so many brothers and cousins and friends that, I didn't do the dating like my friends were. At 16, my friends were moms already. So I didn't have any kids till later on. So what I would have told my 16-year-old self was, keep doing what you're doing, stay focused. I was grounded. I had a mom who, made sure that I stayed into programs like Upward Bound and stayed active, to make sure that I was getting college ready at that point. So I wouldn't change anything at the age of 16. I think when I start making, bad choices, I'll be like 20, about 20.
Okay, so let's do that then. Let's just jump right ahead. Go
Yeah.
to 20-year-old Deidre. You have a sit down with her. And you say, hey, listen, know what you know now. You can't tell her what you know, but you have to have a conversation with her and kind of give her the best advice you can give her at that age. What would you have said?
I would have listened to my friend Tanika, who told me, if you have any kids, right? I love my kids to death. I love them,
Yeah.
but she told me, wait a while, wait a while. I'm, that was my friend who I had my children by, but
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have done, but I believe that it was a lesson, and I don't regret it. I don't regret meeting him. I don't regret having children with him. But it was a lesson for me. I don't think if I was not in that position and had the kids with that particular person, I don't think I would be where I am today. Actually, I think I would be in a better position. But I don't regret the life that I have right now. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where because of the love that you have for your children, you know that if you go back and change anything, you wouldn't have them the way they are right now. So you
Exactly.
don't want to change that part. But you also look back on the decisions and say, if I could keep who I have today, but would have made just a couple of different decisions, maybe I would have been in a better position. I get it. We all get it. Trust me. You're not saying anything. As a matter of fact, right now, what you're doing, you're just talking to the choir. Because I guarantee you, the people that are going to be listening are all nodding like, yo, I get it 100%.
Yeah, because
That's
I'm
exactly how most people live.
right now trying to study for the LSAT exam. That's what I've been devoting my time to. I deactivate my Facebook and Instagram for a little while just to concentrate on my practice exam, because I want to go back. I want to go to law school.
But
And at my age, early 40s, but I don't have my age, 43 years old, I'm back to law school. And
Okay.
and
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, and being that my daughter's graduating early, I said I'm gonna take time to study, and next year I'll be prepared. I was gonna go this year, but I'm gonna take a little break and prepare myself. But at the age of 21, when I
Mhm.
graduated, when we left King University,
Yeah.
I was stepping into the doors of law school. I had an opportunity then. I received the opportunity to start school and became a month early, you know? So that's where my break came, where I couldn't go into law school at that time.
Yeah.
But at 21, I would have told myself
You
to,
know what they say? This whenever I start to go down that path, because trust me, I can go down it just as crazy. It's so funny. I always say to myself, I just take a step back and I say to myself, the universe doesn't know late; it only knows right on time. So anything that it would have given me at 20, 22, 23, I probably would have pissed it away because I was not ready for it.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And whatever the universe is giving me now at 45, at 44 years old, I feel like I absorb it differently, I take it differently, and I appreciate it on a whole nother level. You remember being back in college and you would take a night class, right? And you were just a freshman, sophomore, just taking a night class just because you didn't feel like getting up early on a Friday, and you'd be
Mm,
taking this night class, and there was always an adult in that class that was sitting like this,
always.
who's extra prepared. They had markers and papers, and you're looking at them like, oh, all I got is like a notebook. Like, what the this woman came. What you realize then is, oh, that person is me now on how I appreciate certain shit. You know what I'm saying? You look at them and you're like, that person appreciates the hell out of this education
Mm-hmm.
because they know what that real world feels like.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They had that taste of that minimum wage job, or they had that taste of that job at the factory, and now they're sitting here and they're like, God, I ain't letting this situation
And
pass me by. You know what I mean?
they
And we went through very something similar, except we went through it maybe not as rough because we were able to get educated. We went out into the work field. We did all right, and now we have things that are presented to us. Because I'll tell you right now, this whole podcasting opportunity that I have and these things that I got going on,
Mhm.
I I would have pissed these away a couple of years ago. I
Yeah,
would have just been I'm serious. 9 o'clock means 9:30. Monday means maybe Wednesday afternoon when I get to it. Now it's like, yo, this is my dream. Anybody who fucks with my dream, I can't fuck with you.
right.
And this is my time. I'm taking it serious, and I think that that's what it is at this point in your life. At this point in your life, you're understanding you've had the experience, and you know what life is. The other, but like it's like when people get rich. You ever seen somebody get rich, and they tell you, or they'll be like, yo, money isn't everything. And you're like, well, I want to find out. Because right now I've been broke for a long time.
Yeah.
I'd like to find out.
Give it to
You know what
me.
I'm saying? Exactly. So right now we're gonna find out what it is to be rich. And we already know what the poor part looks like. So let's work on this and really benefit and enjoy it.
Look,
This all goes back to me calling you a Renaissance woman. At 40 years old, going to law school, um, being a mother, growing up. Let me ask you a question. Do you mentioned it, so do you wear it as a badge of honor going back at 40, or is it something that still kind of like wears on you? You're like, damn, I'm a little older.
I don't think that the age, because I've never been that age is just a number to me. I know women who've gone back to school at 69, 70 years old. So I don't think that age is an issue. It's something that I'm devoted devoted into giving my children. That uh just that layout, just that platform of me just going back to school. I want them to see that, you know, this was mom's dreams. Like,
That role model, yeah.
look in my yearbook and they see what I wrote in my yearbook, in high school, that I can go back and say I accomplished everything I said I was going to do. So I want my kids to know that. And when it comes to business minded, they see that. They see that with me. That's why my kids have their own businesses, because they see that. They see that drive. They see the struggle mom had. They see everything. I don't sugarcoat anything. But my kids have never walked out the home without,
Right.
they looked like that they were struggling, but they knew it. When they came back, I said, Mom don't have it right now. Mom gonna get it. Mom gonna get it this way. Or mom has to pay for school. Mom's paying for college. Mom want to make sure that your sports is paid for. So it's certain things that they know that's priority. So they
It's the beauty of it because not only were you first of all, you were able to provide everything they needed, but at the same token, you also gave them that those morals and the values that need to be attached to when they get things. For
yeah.
instance, you let them know, hey, listen, mom is doing all this, but this is what I need in return.
Mhm.
So everything you've ever posted, again, I follow you from afar. I'm a fan. I've always known for you to talk very highly of your children. You know what I mean? So that's why I get that conclusion that not only do you are a provider of whatever it was materialistically that they needed, but
Mhm.
you were also somebody who provided their moral compass and definitely gave them like the morals and the values that they need to go out into this world. What are some of the streets are heavy, man. The streets are heavy. We all know that,
Yeah.
right? What are some of the things that you did that you kept on the forefront of your mind, or the lessons that you tried to make sure that your kids knew every day they walked out the door? You know what I'm saying? What was the most important thing? Like, I know some people have said, I just wanted my kids to know that they're loved in the home so that when they walk out to that cold world, they'll be okay. But I also know that there's lessons. What are some of the things, some of the tricks of the trade to keep your kids out of trouble, in these streets? And you being a second mother, what have you been able to do?
Well, they know the first thing I did was to get them out of harm's way. Um, we used to, just to go back a little bit, we used to, my family used to support, the basketball game. We used to give basketball games in my community. I used to give a book bag drive. We had a park that was right at the corner of my house. So I would have Easter bunny giveaways. I would do things in the park, have music with a couple of the guys in the neighborhood. We would throw things like that for the community. And one day there was a basketball game and there was a shootout. I had to run with my son in my hand, couldn't find my daughter. She was hiding in the playground area, and that had to be the scariest thing ever. And my kids, I said, this summer, we're out of here. We're out. I promise you that. And I worked extra hard to make sure that I found somewhere for them to go. And we were out of there by that summer, right beginning of the fall, we were out. And so that was the one thing that I did. I made sure that I took my kids, and I'm saying anything bad about New. I love my upbringing. I love my community where I come from. There's a lot of great things happening now in the city of Newark, and I'm very proud. But I'm very proud that I got my kids up out of there. Sorry to say it.
No, no, absolutely. You know the role that environment plays in people's upbringing and the things that they have to be witness to and when your kids are seeing stuff that's not normal.
Yeah,
That's not normal. Let's put it
I
like that.
knew, Mike, that my kids wasn't built for that. I grew up. I was able to get through it. I had to do whatever I had to fight and to walk to school. Had to fight to walk down to get something to eat. Almost get robbed a couple times. That all happened to me. But with my kids, I didn't want them to experience any of that, any of it. So it was a hard decision to make, but
Mhm.
I knew that I was working too hard to come home and my window bust out or somebody broke into my home. I just couldn't deal with it, any longer. So I moved, and that was the probably the first step, and that was the
Right.
thing that I wanted to teach my kids. And I made sure that they had a great education. Even when they were in Newark, they had an amazing education, at the school that they were going to. Amazing,
Mhm.
but I knew that my kids were not built for what I had to grow up doing, and what I went through and what their father went through. And I want them to have to end up like their dad. Not saying that because we live here that one of my kids won't end up, in prison or something. God willing, I hope not, because that's not what I taught them. But I just wanted to take them out of that environment. I didn't want them to walk in those footsteps of what they're seeing, because you could do all the teaching that you want. You could provide all the values in the household, but when they get out there with years, they go through so many, they learn so much from other people. Yeah.
Let's talk about that. You
Mm-hmm.
mentioned their father. I know you often post about being an advocate for reform and different things that you've posted in the past. Are you willing? Do you want to talk about that? Like some of the things that you post and just your advocacy for I don't want to botch it, but like what is it? Crime reform, criminal reform, court reform. Go ahead, please.
During
Let them know.
during COVID, I, made sure that, there was a news article put out on the inmates in the federal
Where
system.
could they find that article? We're gonna find it and we're gonna put the
NJ, it
link.
was on NJ.com.
NJ.com. Okay.
Yeah, so all the articles for the New Jersey federal, I mean, and they went everywhere. It was pretty much all the federal prisons. So anything that had anything to do with COVID in the federal system, I was
Mm,
involved in that with the ACLU. So I worked very closely with the ACLU on speaking to a lot of the inmates. I spoke to a lot of the inmates in federal prison to find out what was going on inside, how was their health, what was going on, were they getting treatment, how many people were sick, and we were able to put out this information, and we got a lot of inmates moved. We got a lot of inmates being placed on home release. We got a lot of inmates, all the medical treatment they needed. And I stayed in contact with the families. I didn't even know these guys. Like I met them through
right,
this.
right.
So myself, a number of the attorneys with the ACLU, some investigators, some Philadelphia judges, we all pretty much worked together to make sure that these inmates were moved in. And it was hard. It was like I'm helping all these other people, but my kid's father was one of the last to
Oh,
actually get the help he needed. But we did so much for different people that I would, he was still, he's very religious where he feels like, it was a blessing that we were able to help others. So
okay.
hmm
So I have a question for you. You talked about having the Easter Bunny, basketball games, giveaways, being active in the court system, and making sure during COVID. Where did this inner activist? Where was she? Where was she developed? Where was she created? Where did she come from? And what inspired her?
my my friends, maybe somebody watching, but they would say, because she Angela Davis. No, but no, I mean, it's just always been in me. My degree is in political science, criminal justice, and my master's in nonprofit organizational leadership. But I've always had a drive for nonprofit. I've had the opportunity to work for nonprofit organizations before, and I actually have a nonprofit as well. So it's always been my drive to do a service for the community. It's always been in my heart to provide a service for a community, and to give back. I feel like, paying forward to things all the time, because you will receive it 10 times, 10 times.
Right.
So I've always believed in that. And that's where many of my blessings come from, I believe. Like I'm telling you, if I do something for someone, believe me, those blessings come back, and they come back right on time for me. So I always appreciate helping the community any kind of way I can. And I want to do more. I was just thinking about it today, and I think I brought it up to one of my friends that I would like to do some community service work very soon.
I love it. I
Mhm.
love it. I love that you give back, man. I love that as somebody who was able to pull themselves out of the fire, you know what I'm saying? You don't just look back and say and judge people on what they're going through. You turn around and you say, you know what? This I want to be in turn the person that I needed as a child. This is what I needed as a child. I'm going to become that person, and I'm going to go back into my community, and I'm going to help, and I'm going to pull people out of it, one by one, whether it has to be one by one or group by group, but I'm going to do my part. And that's a beautiful thing, man. Not a lot of people do that. A lot of people reach a certain level in their life, that is in their life, and they let go and say, okay, I'm out. I'm out of here. I'm gone. And the best thing they do is disappear and never look back.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
it's always nice to hear that, people that are from the community are looking back and saying, you're not alone. I got your back. And you know what? When other people abandon you, I'm gonna be here, and I'm gonna be in the fight to pull you out. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I mean,
Um,
and you don't
so
see post about that, Mike. I don't post that type. Like I
yeah,
really some people post that they're giving out food or clothes. I don't do any of that. That's something that I do privately from the heart, for the soul.
I love it. And I will say this though. I always say this. I always say the $10 somebody gave on camera is always better than the $10 somebody didn't give at all. You know what I mean? So even if they're bragging about it, but they gave it, you know what I mean? So I'll never look down. I'm always like, whatever. Let's move forward. Let's talk about. We talked about a little bit about your career, which we're going to go back to, and really go into depth about your new company and what you're really trying to do. But I want to, just take a little bit so people get to know you just slightly. We touched on your motherhood. We touched on your activism. Let's talk about your personal life. Um, Listen, you're a beautiful woman. You're smart, educated. You're in the world. Um, do you find it difficult dating nowadays? Do you find it difficult finding men that are up to your standard or on par?
I do. I do. When I do find it's
Yeah.
when I do find that person, I feel like it's hard to get them on the level that you want. Like no one is perfect. I know I definitely have my flaws. Um,
Mhm.
but it make me happier than I can make myself.
But
You be that person.
here's the funny part, right? So let me ask you a question. Here's what I find, right? And just have a conversation. Let me see here. Um,
Be nice.
let's build a bear. Let's build a bear. Let's build a bay. All
Ooh,
right.
yes.
Um, on 100, we're gonna use 100% scale here. All right. Let's break it down between the qualities. I'm gonna give you a couple of qualities, right? And all you do is give me a percentage of which one is the most important.
Okay,
Okay. Or better yet, I'm gonna build one bear, and you're gonna tell me yes or no on that person, and then I'll build another one, and you tell me yes or no on this person.
that's
All right.
good. Yeah, we could
All
do
right.
that.
All right. So check this out. Bear A, he's 5'9". All right. He's 5'9". Right
You want
away.
you want me you want me to start now?
Yo, this is the
No.
best. I swear to God. Let me tell you something, right? Because I was about to say he's 5'9". He makes seven figures. I was about to add all these other things. And the minute I said he's 5'9", you're like,
But you know
yeah,
what?
nah.
My kid's father is 5'9".
Okay.
My kid's father is 5'9". He's not a
Okay.
tall. Um, but I could never wear my heels when I went out with him. At the point.
But let
Luckily,
me ask you something.
luckily,
Is
right?
it how about this though? But don't you think like this? Like, okay, maybe I can't wear my heels, but I could definitely wear some really nice sandals on a yacht somewhere. You know what I mean? Like whatever. I get what you're saying. Everybody has a preference. You can't ever. I don't knock anybody for having a preference. But
Yeah,
let's
I
say this. Okay.
wouldn't say. Okay, keep going. Let's see.
Okay. Well, yeah. Let me ask you different questions. Let's not go that route because that could get a little complicated. But I do want to ask you this: would you rather have a guy with a big dick or big dick energy?
What we talk about? No, I'm just kidding. Because he didn't have a no stop. No,
You can only pick two. Don't cross, baby. But they usually have
the
no.
energy.
It's either
I,
big dick or big dick energy.
I'm an energy person, Mike. It has to be the energy.
Has to be energy. All right. So because you can't have a guy with small, like just acting like a pussy, and I get it. Okay. All right.
Ah,
How much can you be with a guy who doesn't have a sense of humor?
he definitely has to have a sense of humor.
Does
De-
it have to be funny? All right. So now let me ask you questions. Does he have to be a little thuggish?
no, I don't want that. At this age,
Edgy, tough. When I mean thug, I mean like he
oh,
has to be like
I need a protector, but
you
I don't want the thug.
don't
Mm-mm.
want the thug.
No,
Okay, so you pass that.
but yeah, I'm
But you
past.
need a little,
But,
little edgy.
but priority is a protector. I definitely need a protector.
Safety and security, absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
You know,
I agree.
he could have been in law enforcement, or he could have been, but he got to protect me some kind of way. He got to be my
Yeah,
protector.
yeah, yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Believe it or not, when you serving women,
I'm a tough girl, so you can't be no sucker.
you get stomped all over, you get walked all over.
No,
Um,
I'm because I will be his protector, so I need somebody to protect me on those days where I'm feeling a little vulnerable. You get it?
a man asks you, Didi, what do you bring to the table?
What do I bring?
Wait, let me preface that.
Hmm.
Right now, one of the popular things on the internet is guys will sit there and they'll say stuff like, I don't need a woman, da 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 da. When I see a woman, and they'll ask a girl, well, if I'm gonna be with you, what do you bring to the table? Didi, as a grown woman, a guy asks you, what do you bring to the table? What's your answer?
Look, is it kids watching? No, it's kidding. I am an amazing lover. Um, I am a great confidant. I will keep all his secrets amongst myself. It'll be amongst us. I will provide a structure to make sure that he is always up. So if I could support my man in any business venture, his everyday lifestyle and his mental health, then I am there to support him 100%. Because everybody go through things. So
Yeah,
if I can help someone in any kind of way, um, and I want a partner. I want a business. I want more than just a partner and lover. I want a business partner. If you can't be a business partner to me, I don't want you.
you can't hold your own. Absolutely,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
So we gotta be able to build together on some kind of level. And that, and I have so many business ideas in my head. A friend of mine called me the business psychic. So I someone just get to know them and think of a business venture for them that would be exceptional for them. And
That's
that, yeah, that's what I would want to do. That's how I am with the guy.
you want to laugh, right? Because I often ask that question, right? And believe it or not, not a lot of women answer it the way you just answered it. You gave one answer in particular that I wish more women would pay attention to.
What was that?
In my book, I write there are for a woman, communication equals love. For a man, vulnerability equals love. Men could talk to a million women, but they could only be vulnerable with one. She's the only one that sees that darkness they say, love my darkness, my light is easy to love. She's the only one that sees that little boy that cries at night. She's the only one that sees that insecurity. There's only one. You know what I mean? That's why when people say, I need a woman that's my peace, what do they mean? They mean she's my peace. That means I can go to her, I can escape from the real world, and I can show you, take the mask off, and I can show who I really am. If
Hmm.
I can show you who I really am, that means you're my safe space. If you're my safe space, that means you're my peace.
Hmm.
You're my escape from the real world. That's what a man says when you're my peace. That's what he means. You are my vulnerability. You're where I can go and be who I really am, not the face that I show the world. Right. So
And
that's a beautiful answer. The way you said it, I absolutely loved it because that nails it. And I wish more women paid attention to that,
but the way
no
you
matter what age.
that's my main goal overall, is to be someone's peace, because I know in my past relationships I probably was a headache. I know I was tough, but I have a book that I write down, and I tell everything I want in a man, and I write it down and I put it. It's actually, and a lot of women should do it. You write it down and you put it under your mattress, okay, where you sleep.
Manifest it, absolutely.
You manifesting it. So I have it under my mattress, and one of the things that I put in the back of that paper is what I want to be to that man. Because everybody always say you write down all the qualities you want in a man.
Oh,
Down what I want to be for my man, because I'm a work in progress too. I have a lot of things that I want to work on.
once again, you're nailing it 100%.
Hmm.
The universe doesn't give you what you want, it gives you a reflection of who you are.
Yes.
That's what happens. You have to become the energy that you're looking for. If you want a peaceful, beautiful relationship, you have to become peace and love
Right.
within you.
You can't be out here hurricane and you want a peaceful man. You can't be out here broke and not business minded and you want a rich man to take care of you. That's not what I want. I've never wanted a man to take care of me, wait on hand and foot. It's great. Take me places, wine and yes, of course. I want those things. But let me
What
sometimes
you want to do is you want to be able to be in what they quote unquote the feminine energy. You want to be able to allow your feminine energy to flow, and you cannot do it when the man. I again in my book I have the chapter. It said she's waiting to give you the reins, the keys to the car. You're refusing to take it because you're not being a man. What she's looking for is sensitive, not soft. She wants you to be sensitive because she wants you to be aware of what she sees. She wants you to be aware of her emotions. She wants to know. She wants you to be aware of how your actions affect the group. She doesn't want you to be soft. Soft is woe is me. My life sucks. This is soft. I'm sad. And that's not what she wants. You don't want a bitch. You know what I mean? If she can't respect you, she can't love you.
that's
You know what I
right.
mean? A man and a woman would not make love to a man that she doesn't believe has a backbone. You know what
You
I'm saying?
a, a, a woman can't get excited and have a wet pussy if that man is not giving her that energy. Can't
It's again,
you
we
can't?
talk about. Have you ever heard of a term called the mental orgasm?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I have a whole chapter in my book called the mental orgasm,
Hmm.
and it's literally about that. It's about I speak to men about it, right? And what I tell you is what I tell men is this. I'm like, hey, listen, let's start working smarter, not harder. All right. Think of her brain like a closet. In the back of that closet is pleasure. In
Yes.
the front of that closet is everything she worries about. Okay. A lot of times what men will do is we work from the body to the mind, meaning we stimulate your body, and then what women will do is they're the ones that make themselves come. They stop, they concentrate, they relax, and then they come, right?
Yeah.
We don't make no woman come. They make themselves come, right?
Right.
Because they go into the right mental space.
Right.
So what I explain to men is if you're able to get her into the mental space before you ever touch her, guess what? She will have a mental orgasm before you even touch her physically. And if you do that, that's when you'll have her heart and soul forever. Like
Yep.
she'll never be able to walk away from you. You want to talk about being dickmatized? This shit's a whole nother level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's one of those conversations that I think that women need to be more vocal about. Right? They need to let men know, hey, listen, you're kissing the wrong part of my body.
Ha,
You're trying to kiss me between my legs and my neck and all that. You need to be kissing between my ears.
that's
If
right.
you do that a couple of days in advance, trust me, brother, it's not going to be that hard for you to
Yep.
get what you need from me. You know what I mean? But
Absolutely. Because there's plenty of times that if I'm feeling I'm feeling so I could walk away because
okay, we have a little
the
technical.
sex is not going to be great. Let me just
Right.
get up. Yeah, somebody is trying to reach me. But yeah, sex is not going to be great if you don't have me here. Like that that's my first and foremost. That's where you we need to meet. That's where our
One of the
date
things they
should
talk
go
about
first. Our
is
date should be there.
one of the things they talk about is intimacy, and I describe intimacy like grocery shopping. Okay, if I go grocery shopping as a man, not everything that I buy right now I'm going to cook that afternoon.
Mhm.
Some of it I put it in the refrigerator, right? Well, intimacy is the same way. Every bit of intimacy that I give you doesn't necessarily have to result in sex that night, but it's storing and it's building and it's little by little. Like so, the flowers today, the phone call in the middle of the day to tell you I love you, the
Mhm.
fucking text, the this, the that, the little
Right.
gift. These little things start to build up, and they don't always result in sex that same night. But you're building credit. You're building credit. You're building credit. And what you're essentially doing is, I always say this, right? Men and women are different in this regard. And the way I try to explain it to men, and please let me know if I'm right or wrong on this. Men, we have different boxes in our head, right? So something could go wrong here on the left, and we can still have fun on the right.
Mhm.
For women, what I feel like a lot of times is if something's going wrong in their life, it kind of consumes the whole situation. The whole box is full of that problem, right? I'll give you an example. If I walk outside and I go to turn my car on and it doesn't turn on, right? Or something's wrong with it. and I walk inside and my girlfriend says, "Hey, Mike, you want some head?" I'm like, yeah, all right, cool. I'll take some head. But if you go outside, right, and you go to check your car and there's something fucked up with your car and you walk inside and I try to mess around with you, you're gonna look at me like, are you out of your fucking mind, yo? My car's all fucked up outside. Are you kidding me? Like, can you wait? Like, are you stupid? Like, you're looking at me like I'm crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because we compartmentalize. We can completely, yeah, our car's fucked up outside, but a blowjob, that's different. That's a different box.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where a woman is, no, it's all the same box. You can't do that. So what I try to tell men is, I'm like, listen, little one by one, clear that mental closet for her. Clear it so that when you're one-on-one with her, she's not worried about did the kids eat. She's not worried about did I pay this bill. She's not worried about did I move this, did I do that. All she's worried about is I'm right here, right now, with a man that I care about. And that's it.
That's right. Make love to me mentally.
Mentally, just touch me in places your hands can't reach. Be with me present in this moment and allow me to for pleasure. And a lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll complain that their wife isn't as adventurous in certain areas. And you're like, uh, why would she be? Why
Mm-hmm.
would she be if you're not doing what you need to do? You know what I'm saying? I get a lot of like I do a relationship consulting business right now, and I have a nice little set of a nice little caseload. And I promise you that that's one of the number one things with the guys. My wife doesn't do A. My wife doesn't do B, right? I always tell men, well, if your wife doesn't do A and B, that's a reflection of your sex game. All right. It's not a reflection of her because you haven't built the trust necessary. She doesn't feel like when you do these things, that you have her interest, whether it's sexually or emotionally in physically, in mind. You know what I mean? So like one of the things I was teaching one of these guys, right? Like, so check this out. He wants his wife, let's just say he wants his wife to do more anal. She's not really into it like that, right? And he's like, "Oh, I love that shit," and she don't even do it for me. So we're walking through this, right? And I go,
Why he like it so much? No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
"Yeah, no. Listen. That's a whole other conversation for a whole other day." But I think that has a lot to do with porn. It has less to do. So I know people try to like say, "Oh, could be this and this." I think some guys because they watched a lot of it in porn and it represents dominance. So
Probably.
that's something else. We can go there definitely. Oh my god.
We could talk about that.
Woo, for sure. One of the things was I used to be a gym teacher,
I
right?
remember. Yeah.
And when I was a gym teacher, right, one of the things was we had we would have to teach a sport, all right. So we would teach soccer. Let's say we would the first couple of days were the rules and the drills and these little cheap drills. The kids that knew how to play, they used to hate that shit because they'd be like, "Why can't we just play? Why can't we just play?" But the kids that didn't know how to play needed that time to get adjusted to the game, so
Mm-hmm.
that when it was time to play, everybody had fun. So I try to explain the same shit to these guys. I'm like, hey, listen, how about this? How about you teach her the rules slowly, intimately?
Yeah.
Then you do some techniques. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Some techniques that will make it pleasurable. That'll show her how to participate. That way, when it's time, everybody can have fun. When it's time for her to play and you to play, it's not just you having all the fun. Both of you understand where you're at, and both of you can have fun with this. The problem is a lot of men don't have the patience.
No.
You know what I'm saying? They're very much like, no. And again, it all goes back to a lot of guys. We learned sex, unfortunately. This is unfortunate. And it took me a lot of years to make sure that I fixed this and I worked on it as a man. I learned a lot of my sex from porno.
Oh.
I learned a lot of it from porn. Yeah, I didn't learn it from like, where else was I didn't learn it from my friends. My friends weren't really that active like that. I learned my shit from porn. Everything I did was like every stroke that I tried to learn, every move that I tried to learn was all from porno. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of times, for instance, right? These guys don't have anal sex with their wife. They're not thinking soft, let her have fun. Eventually she might even really like it. They're not thinking that. You know what they're thinking? They're thinking about the face that the guy in the porno used to make. Ah, like I'm a beast. You know what I mean? And the face that the girl makes, like, oh my god, it hurts so much. And for some reason, that's what they're experiencing.
Mike,
you're like,
out a little bit. You going in and out a little bit.
So what?
I said you was going in and out a little bit.
Let me see here.
You might be good.
Yeah, let me work on
You're
this.
good. I think you're good.
How about now? Let me see. How about now?
Yeah, I think you sound good now.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
It's probably the weather is.
Hopefully it's-
You know how it is. Yeah, yeah, we have a lot of storms over here.
Hold on a second. Let me see if I can go on to. I'm going to go into another app. That way I can continue the live stream. Only because this one gets a little funny.
Mm-hmm.
Second. There we go. How about there? Is it a little better?
Let me hear you. Probably good. It's just the view.
How about now?
Yeah, it did the last time. This last one you just jumped in.
Yeah, okay. Let me try to make sure
I see you twice.
I get it going. Here you go. There you go. Something went wrong. I shut that one down. I got this one. You see me? You hear me?
Yeah, I can see you and hear you.
Yeah, you got me. How about now?
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Sometimes we have a little technical difficulty here and there.
Yeah, it's probably.
I'm actually on vacation. I'm not even home.
Oh.
yeah. So stop.
Look at you.
Stop doing my little cast anyway. I'm trying to get it so I don't get no glare. Yeah, let's do it like this. Let's keep it going, finish it up. But yeah, man, like I was saying, a lot of times people do it. That's where you learn shit. You know what I'm saying? So it goes back to having to re-engineer guys. You know what I'm saying? You have to sit back and talk to them and be like, yo, listen, a lot of our mentality's fucked up when it comes to how we approach our women. You know what I mean? And it's so funny because nowadays what we're seeing today is a product of that. It's a product of not teaching our boys how to be men early enough. You know what I mean? Like we're still in this thing where the boys will be boys for the first 25, 30 years of their life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? The problem is when you're a boy for the first 20 to 30 years of your life, you're supposed to be coming out of it when you're 31, 32, 33, right? But because we're not doing a good enough job of really transitioning and letting them know that, yo, from this boy, you're supposed to go to that man. Mm-hmm. We got a lot of guys that are in their 30s and 40s that are like, what do I need a woman for, man? I'm good. Like, I'd rather live like Peter Pan for the rest of my life.
Oh, I just had one yesterday disrespect me just because I asked for a receipt. You know, I picked up my food and he's serving me my food and he jumps on the phone to take an order and he looks at me up and down and go, what you want? He just moved his lips and what you want? I said, can I have a receipt? I have a business. Like this is my
yeah, it's a write-off, right?
So he goes, I said, is there a problem with me needing a receipt for food I just paid for?
Yeah.
He said, woman, just take your food and this receipt and get out my store. I said, your store? I'll call corporate. No problem. Call who the fuck you want. So he started cursing.
Oh, what the fuck? Where were you? What store were you in?
Domino's.
Oh, shit.
So I'm going now. Mind you, I got my son's girlfriend in the car. And thank God my son wasn't with me.
Yeah.
So I said, who are you talking to? You know, so I set the pizza down because now I done got into my thug mode. You know,
yeah.
Woman mode, and we in the suburbs, but now I'm back and the Nook done came out. Now,
the Nook done came out.
So who you talking to? And he said, who you think I'm talking to? The only person that's standing here. Mine is a Caucasian boy about 5'9". Oh. No, he probably was 5'5".
5'5", Jesus Christ.
So he steady talking, and then I said, you know what? I'm a mom with a son. And I teach my son to never talk to a female the way you just spoke to me. Mm-hmm. And I go on to say, so I hope, and if I felt like I went into a Men's Society mode here.
Men's Society.
Did your mom mom teach you to disrespect women like that? He said, fuck my mother. That bitch been years, ain't been in my life.
Oh, shit.
There's the answer. Now I understand why you're disrespecting me. He said, F you, you dumb A.B. I said, no problem, Domino's worker.
Domino's worker.
Nah, I said, I'm going to let you get that right now so you can finish out your shift. But
it ain't my fault you hate your life right now. Let me leave it at that. Oh,
after I finish these calls and these emails to corporate, you might not finish out your week. But
oh.
I'm gonna let you live today. He said, I threatened him because I said I was gonna let him live today. He said I had just threatened him, so whatever. So it's just sad to see that going on when I come home and I'm educating my son on how to treat a woman and how he's opening doors for his 16-year-old girlfriend and he holding her bag and stuff like that. I'm seeing it early, but to run into this young man that didn't get that that lesson from his mom.
You see what the result is if you don't. It's like you cannot afford not to.
Yeah.
Because you want to make sure that he has those morals and values. It's like it's a fine balance. So let me ask you this, right? Having a son, do you find it a balance? Because I'm sure you have plenty of girlfriends when they met a guy and they're like, he's too nice. I'm sure you've had that. Oh, he's too nice, or he's not. He's not my type because he's too square or whatever, right? And do you ever find it like a balance on teaching your son to be a gentleman and be sweet, but also not to be a pushover? You know what I mean? And what do you do? What kind of conversation do you have with him to let him know, like, yo, you could be, again, sensitive, but don't be soft?
Right. And I see it both ways because he treats his girlfriend better than he treat me.
Yeah.
But I know I did a good job. So yeah, it's definitely it's hard because he sees it, he sees it out in the world, now that he was in private school, but now he's in public school. So he's a lot more. He sees a lot of the disrespect. He shows me videos, so I know that he's around the disrespectful kids and, they're cursing in school and all of that. But when he get home, I don't see any of that. But I just tell him, I said, just know that your mom knows a lot of people. And I tell him, too, acting the fool, believe me, there's somebody that's gonna come tell me. Because people tell me all the time, I seen your daughter so and so. Somebody just told me yesterday. Someone told me they saw her. So, just be aware that somebody out there is watching, and you don't want to be that kid like when I'm in the store and I go, "Oh my God, who is their parent?"
Oh Lord, what? That's like your nightmare because
that's my that has been one of my biggest nightmares. As a parent, it would get out there and I tell my daughter, you're out there trying to twerk and dance off a song, somebody was your mother and it's gonna get back to me.
Be like, hey, I don't care what anybody told you about Whiteman Hall and King University. All right, I don't care what nobody told you.
What you had it here?
No, all right. So no. Tell us about your business. I know you got a big venture coming up that you're putting together. You sent me a whole write up, and I was like, "Yo, listen, I'm going to post it, but I want people to see what you're doing. I want to hear it from you. What's this new venture? This consultation services? What are you offering?"
Well, I've had Tnt Services, and this piece of hair is driving me crazy, so don't mind me. But I've had Tnt Services since 2015. And it came about because I had this superb supervisor and boss who ran the company that I worked for when I was working with DCPNP, formerly known as DIFAS. He amazing, and it was at a contracting agency that we dealt with, and he told me that I was that business-minded person and I should start my own business. So he gave me the idea of starting my own business. So Tnt Services is a consultation business. I started it off helping people with career coaching. So that's how it started. I had a couple grants from different organizations to start working with teenagers, adolescents, to help them find work through the summer and when, after school. So I help resume building and things like that. So I took that business and I, start doing mobile notary and just doing a lot of career coaching with it. So did I lose Mike? Mike, where are you? Okay, I guess he's gonna come back in. Back, Mike.
Sorry about that. Went out for me.
So from that venture, I just kept expanding with Tnt Services. So now with the consultation part, fast forward into 2022 and during COVID, I had a lot of thinking and revamping my business. I pretty much now I do professional development, and because Tnt Services has taken me so far to do so many things with that business, now I go out and I speak to men, women, organizations, schools, and I have presentations, workshops, and I do a lot of my public speaking. And I think I got this idea from doing my podcast, Community and Connection Chats with D.
Community connections with D. Say it again. Community connections.
Community and Connection Chats with D.
Okay.
And I do that. I was doing that live from Instagram. And I took a break on the summertime just to expand the business, but it gave me an idea once I start doing the podcast and IG lives that I should continue on doing speakings and presentations. I was terrible at speaking. I scared to talk. You
Okay.
think the first thing that I started doing was acting. When I started doing extra parts, that gave me the courage to be in front.
Okay. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so that gave me the courage to be in front of a camera. So Tnt Services now, what I do is, I, go into community organizations and I speak to staff. I do new staff training. I do professional development. I do empowerment, career coaching,
Mm.
and a number of topics. And I have other presenters as well. So if anybody ever want to get in contact with us, they can email us at diamondtntservicesllc@gmail.com.
We're going to be putting that link down below as well.
Okay. And, I have other presenters as well where we discuss law enforcement, criminal justice issues, corrections, and any school issues.
If you are involved, if you're at the university level, if you're in organizations, fraternities, sororities, and you're doing social justice, anything with social justice, if you're doing business building, if you're doing career development, reach out to her, reach out to this platform, because I believe that, especially at that age, that group right there, coming out of college, really learning, trying to get their feet wet, trying to really understand what the world looks like, I think you would be a great benefit, especially with your amount of experience. You can let them know, go left, go right, avoid this. You know what I mean? I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, and I give my testimony in a lot of another topic I have is my testimony from, my a lot of people don't know, but I used to ride motorcycles and
Right.
I almost lost my life. So I know you remember that, Mike.
Yeah, I remember you. Yeah, you got hurt. Yeah.
I got hurt really bad. So I like to give my testimony on that. I like to give my testimony as a single mom. So at times, not only am I out doing the lecturing and to teach and train staff or schools or students, or young adults, I'm actually going out to give my testimony. I'm not, I haven't written a book. I would like to one day, Mike. I told you about.
No, absolutely. Let's consult, man. I walk you through some of the steps that you might need, and I'm sure you got a great story.
Yeah, so I haven't written a book yet, but I like to stand up and I like to talk, about what I would have in my book. So I like to tell
Absolutely
my story. And I'm an open book, and that's another issue that I have with dating men. Some men are very private. They don't want that person that's an open book, but I'm an open book. So I just hope that my future husband could accept that,
Here's what I feel about that, right? I feel that because for a woman, communication equals love. She's able to be an open book because she wants to share, and that's her expression of love, right? I feel that, man, we just have a different timeline. We're going to give you it all. We just have to give it to you on our timeline, and we give it to you slowly. So when you're giving it to us so fast and you're letting us know who you are and what you're about and what inspires you, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, we're giving you little bits. little bits, little bits. And because we're not moving at the same pace, sometimes you may feel like, yo, these men don't share. The truth is, we do, we just don't do it at the same pace.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And eventually, if I fall in love, that's the key. If I fall in love with you, you will get it all. You know what I mean? Like we guard it until we fall in love. And once we fall in love, we give it all to you. Here's what happened, right? A lot of times, men, and even on the internet, you'll notice this, guys, they talk that tough talk, right? And usually what happened is this, they were vulnerable with a woman, right? And when they were vulnerable with that woman, the woman basically told me, yo, shut the fuck up and man up. Oh, you acting like a bitch. Or she didn't grab that vulnerability and hold on to it like a woman, like he would hope. He grabbed it and rejected him. You know what he did from that on? He grabbed that vulnerability, that sweetness, that niceness, that sharing with you, and he shoved it down his throat. He said, only bitches share. I'm not sharing my shit no more. I'm keeping that shit to myself, right? Until you meet the right woman. Mm-hmm. Then one day you give her your vulnerability and she looks at it and she says, it's safe with me. I won't use it against you. No, you're not a bitch because you showed me this. I love you anyway. And that's the woman that becomes the long-term girlfriend, the wife, the whatever, because you're able to be like we talked about earlier, she becomes your peace.
Yes.
You're like, oh, you're not going to hold this shit against me? I'm not a bitch? Oh, okay, cool. This is different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But believe it or not, and I'm sure you've ran across guys that gave you too much too soon. You're like, yo, what's up with that? Like, you're being too soft. You know what I mean?
Let it go away. Like, don't give it to me and then let it go away. Like, we want to be able to keep that same energy.
Consistency.
Got me.
Right. Consistency is important.
Now I'm emotional. Now I'm feeling something. So
yeah.
You know,
let's pull it away.
Let's keep that energy. Don't fall in love with me one day and then fall out of love, because it ain't that easy with me. Because I won't.
Yeah.
You won't
get you. I can get you. That's hilarious. What do you call it? I would love for my son to get in touch with you in his last year of college, and he's nervous about which route to take after graduation. Look, you have a possible client. I'll bet you down below. Right there. He said, I would have. Well, I'll get you that information. I would love for my son to get in touch with you. He's in his last year of college, and he's nervous about which route to take after graduation.
Yes.
And this is ideal. That's ideal. She's the perfect person to talk to.
Yeah, that's ideal. You know, I was the career after graduation. The last few years, I was the career coach for King University. So I was Alumni Association. So yeah, let them know. They get in touch with me. I will definitely work with you.
We'll put her link down below so you guys can reach out, get any information you want. So, Didi, we're coming up about an hour. We're just a little bit over now. Okay. So I'd like to end the show here, but I want to, like I said, man, I wasn't able to show you in the beginning before you came on. I was telling the audience how, you know, when I first started this, I always wanted to make sure that I only dealt with people that I found fascinating. I only dealt with people that I held in high regard in terms of when I look at them, I see what they're doing with their life, even if it's from afar. And I see that you're a hustler, number one. First and foremost, you're a hustler. You have your hand in a little bit of everything, trying to make sure to, you know, and you're a successful person. You have a magnetic personality. So I wanted to make sure I brought you on. I also know that you do your podcast. I know you're interested. You have you dip your toe in a lot of different waters, and I want to make sure that people get to know you, because you're somebody that in the future they're gonna want to know. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna want to know you're about to do some big things. So it's really important for me to give people that type of person a platform. But with that, I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you very much, even despite my little technical difficulties while I'm here on vacation. I want to say thank you. Mark Twain said, the most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you discover why. Didi, my audience, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining the Hope for Romantic podcast. I'm your host, Dropping Dimes, a.k.a. the Hope for Romantic, a.k.a. the feminist and chauvinist tendencies. And I want to thank you all for walking in my why. Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.
Bye.
No problem. There we go. End of life.